Hi, I'm Dr. Eugene O'Loughlin and welcome to this lesson on problem-solving techniques. In this lesson, we're going to take a look at SWOT analysis. Our objectives for this lesson are as follows. We should first of all be able to define what is meant by SWOT analysis, and then we want to be able to use SWOT analysis to do the following: build on our strengths, overcome our weaknesses, explore opportunities, and minimize threats. So we want to be able to use SWOT analysis as a type of framework for matching our goals and capacities to the environment in which we operate. So it's very much a scanning, an environmental scanning type of technique. SWOT analysis is comes from section 3, decision making in our curriculum. And within this section, we have 4 techniques, and SWOT analysis is the first of those 4. So as always in our lessons, let's take a look at an inspiring quote. This one comes from Peter Drucker, who was an author and management consultant. And he once said, "Whenever you see a successful business, someone once made a courageous decision." So no matter what we're doing, we are faced with having to make decisions, and having techniques such as SWOT analysis to help us make these decisions are obviously something that are going to be very, very useful to us. So let's move on and straight away figure out what do the letters SWOT stand for. Well, the S stands for strengths, the W stands for weaknesses, the O stands for opportunities, and the T stands for threats. Now, many of you, if not all of you, will have come across SWOT analysis before, or perhaps even carried out SWOT analysis. But the one thing to remember here is that SWOT analysis is very often misused or not done properly. It can be very, very useful, but if not done properly, you might not make the right decision. So essentially what we want to be able to do with these 4 items here is we want to build on our strengths, we want to overcome our weaknesses, explore any opportunities available to us, and then minimize any threats to us in our organization. So this is what SWOT analysis is all about. So SWOT analysis then can become a very effective decision-making tool. It helps us define a situation currently faced by an organization. So it's most commonly used before you embark on a significant change. If you want to, expand your company or move to a different market or try a new software system, very often a SWOT analysis should be carried out before you do so that you can understand things like your internal and external environmental characteristics. And it's very often a tool that's used in strategic planning and in goal setting. So it's a useful tool for all of these things. But we're interested in using it here to make decisions. So let's take a look at each of the 4 items in turn. The S stands for strengths, and these are resources and capabilities available to meet our current business goals. So these are the things that we're good at. Examples might be, for example, a valuable patent or good and strong brand recognition, good market share, plenty of financial reserves, location, many, many other things. These are the things that our organization is already good at. So we need to document all of those. But we also have weaknesses, or we may have weaknesses, and these are deficiencies within an organization that could restrict or limit meeting the business goals. So what are the things that we are not good at? Strengths are what we are good at, weaknesses are what we are not good at. So some examples here might be a gap in capabilities, our reputation with customers is poor, could be cash flow difficulties, high cost infrastructure, we're using old IT systems, and many, many other things. So these are the things that might prevent us from doing well. And again, we need to document and note these. And then we want to take a look at opportunities, and these are very much external opportunities. And these can occur when changes happen in our organizations outside our external environment. For example, it could be a chance to introduce a new product or service that can add value to your organization. So another company might be producing some, for example, software that might make our job a little bit easier. So some examples here could be new or different technologies, needs from our customers might also be an opportunity, a new or a favorable trend or fashion, new market opportunity, or perhaps a possibility of a partnership with another organization. And then we come to the threats, the T for threats, and these are changes that can happen in our outside environment that could become a barrier to us to attaining our business goals. So what are the threats from outside? Examples could, for example, include a competitor comes up with a cheaper product or service. There could be a regulatory agency has made some change to rules and regulations that we need to respond to. A change in market demand. Tax changes are also external threats, and things like interest rates and exchange rates can also affect our business. These are things that we don't have control over, so therefore we want to look to minimize these threats. So, SWOT analysis, when do we use it? We use it to assess relevant characteristics, and I want to emphasize the word relevant here, within your organization to verify its strengths and weaknesses. So these are strengths and weaknesses are very much focused on internal environment. It's an organizational health. It's very often described as a health check for an organization, and we want to use it to plan and position for an organization to capitalize on future opportunities. When do we use it? Well, its four headings give us a good solid framework for reviewing strategy, position, and direction of our organization. So, for example, we could be looking at things like strategic planning, evaluating our competitors, what are our marketing efforts doing, NPD, new product development, research reports that have been written by third parties. Can we use those? Also use it for team building, because it's a great way of getting people together to help identify, for example, strengths and weaknesses. So, I've said earlier on that SWOT analysis, while a very, very effective technique, may not in many cases be used correctly. And here's one of the reasons why. We want to, SWOT analysis needs to be divided into two. The first part is the internal analysis, and the second part is the external analysis. And this is an important part of our strategic planning process. So when we do a SWOT analysis, we do the internal analysis first, and these are the strengths of our organization and the weaknesses of our organization. So this is very much focused internally. But we also, as part of a SWOT analysis, want to look outside as well. So what are the opportunities outside our organization? And we don't want to look at opportunities inside our organization because they may be classified as strengths. So opportunities outside our organization, and then threats to our organization from the outside, the things that we don't have control over, but we need to know what they are. So it's very, very important that you understand here that when you do an environmental scan, there are two major components. There's an internal analysis, in which we use strengths and weaknesses, and our external analysis, where we use our opportunities and threats. So when we're doing SWOT analysis, let's go through the four again and see what types of questions we want to ask when we are looking at it. So when we're looking at strengths, we ask ourselves, well, what resources are available? What skills and capability do our organization have that we can make use of? What specialist internal tools can we use? What is already working well in this area? So these are fairly high level, general questions, but very, very good place to start when you're looking at strengths. Some general question when you're looking at weaknesses, things to ask are, what are the skills and capabilities that we need, but we don't have them? What are the resources, and in this case here, I'm talking about people, time and money, that we don't have access to? What is not working well in this area at this time? So what are we not good at? And also, what's the financial situation? Is there enough money to help overcome particular weaknesses? So if there isn't, that's unfortunately another weakness. Now, when we look at opportunities, and remember this is external and outside our environment, is there vulnerability in our competitors? So another competitor is finding difficulty meeting a market demand. So can we do that instead? Are there new market opportunities? Is there a new innovation in technology that we can take advantage of? For example, social media or something like that. And can we overcome some of our weaknesses? What opportunities would then become available as a result of that? So you can see each of these four elements of SWOT analysis are closely linked. And finally then the threats. So these are the things that are outside our own environment that we cannot control, but we can minimize them. And that's what we aim to do. And the questions we want to ask here to help minimize threats are, for example, are there substitute products and services available that compete with our organization? Are there new laws and regulations and rules that will have a direct effect on our business? Can our suppliers keep up with our demands? And clearly that would be a really serious threat if our suppliers stopped providing us with product or services. Is our organization vulnerable to fluctuations in currency exchange or interest rates? So these are, again, high level, but a good place to start when you're carrying out a SWOT analysis and looking at threats. So this is a SWOT analysis was done in my home country, Ireland, where I live. And this comes from our tourist board in Ireland, who came up with a few years ago a Marketing the Ireland Experience report. And as part of that report, they carried out a SWOT analysis. And here are some of the results from the SWOT analysis. I won't read through them all, but in the strengths, they looked at things like some of the strengths of Ireland as a tourist destination is things like the heritage and music and food. Some of the weaknesses for Ireland as a tourist destination are some obvious things like the weather, but also some infrastructure and a lack of iconic landmarks. We don't have in Ireland the Arc de Triomphe, the Empire State Building, the pyramids, or anything like that. And then the Tourism Ireland people looked outside to see, well, what are the opportunities available to improve tourism in Ireland? So they looked at things like developing business from the Nordic countries and Southern Europe, develop the conference market, and also look at products for over 55s. And then the fourth and final part, and we looked at the Tourism Ireland looked at the threats, and they felt that threats in consumer behaviour would be a threat to tourism in Ireland. New accession states into the European Union, changes in Irish lifestyle, and growth in shorter stays. These are the type of things that could be threats to marketing the Ireland experience and a successful improvement for the Tourism Ireland folks who carried out this result. So when they carried out this report, some of the things that came out of it were as follows. The conclusions from the analysis were things like Tourism Ireland would follow up by emphasising the friendliness and hospitality of the Irish people, focusing on winning a greater share of the 4 to 7 night stay segment, develop a more sophisticated image for our capital, Dublin, promote the top 10 attractions in each region of Ireland, develop niche activities such as surfing and cookery, and finally promote the ease of touring the island of Ireland and highlight the range of internal transport options such as the railway network and buses and cycleways that we now have in the country. So these are just some of the conclusions from the Marketing the Ireland Experience report. Now, following this lesson, I'm going to get you to do an assignment, and this is one I use. It's great fun and easy to do. I use it in my live classroom when I would have 20 to 25 students. So this is best done in a group of people. And part of the scenario that I will be laying out for you here in the assignment is that Robin Hood is thinking about his merry men and the fact that they are outlaws and what will they do about the Sheriff of Nottingham and so on. So the story of Robin Hood will be very familiar to many of you. So some of the issues that Robin is facing is that his outlaw band is growing, it's getting larger, there's a shortage of food, he wants to consider changing the policy of robbing from the rich to give to the poor to a straight transit tax for all people travelling through Sherwood Forest. The Sheriff of Nottingham is getting stronger, and also he's aware of a plot to restore King Richard in place of Prince John. And how can he take advantage of all of these? So we'll be looking at the story of Robin Hood and expanding on these issues here and asking you to perform a SWOT analysis on Robin Hood and his merry men and women. So in summary, SWOT analysis, a very, very useful tool. Be careful that you use it properly. It seeks to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats involved in any project or any organization. We use it to, as a reminder here, we want to build on our strengths. We want to overcome our weaknesses, explore external opportunities, and minimize external threats. So it's very much a snapshot of an organization to help make a decision. So hopefully you found this video and this lesson on SWOT analysis useful. Thank you for your attention.